We have a whole bunch of ways that we can distribute Flash content, and we're going to look at those in this section of the course. There are two ways, however, that are the most common. By far, most Flash content that people see will be delivered in one of these two ways. We covered these formats way back near the beginning of this course when we looked at file types. The first is the basic SWF or .swf format. This is the file that the Flash player reads, and it's usually opened in the standalone version of the player. The second is taking a SWF and embedding it inside a HTML document. This is then opened by the viewer's web browser, and their browser plugin opens the SWF file. We still have to provide a copy of the SWF file that the HTML file can read, though. It's not actually part of the HTML file. A reference is made inside HTML code that points to the SWF. So for this reason, we still have to upload the SWF to our web server along with the HTML for a viewer to be able to see it. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the formats we can use to export our Flash content. The first few we can look at by choosing File, Export, and Export Image. This is one way to export static or non-animated images. Grab the drop-down list at the bottom, and you'll see that we have quite a few choices. The most common formats will be JPEG and GIF, but we can also export our artwork to be used in Adobe Illustrator or as an AutoCAD DXF file, and a few others. Now, once we make our choice, supply a name, and hit Save, we're prompted for the options associated with that file type. In this case, I've chosen JPEG. And first, we're asked what dimensions we want the JPEG to be. We can drop in values for this, but the setting of most interest here is the Include setting at the middle. If we set this to minimum image area, Flash will export everything in our document, including artwork, that extends past the borders of the stage. If you don't want this, and only want to show what's inside the stage, choose Full Document Size. Then we can set a quality and all the options that pertain to JPEG images. If we cancel that and return to Export Image and choose Adobe Illustrator, we're prompted for a compatibility choice. So basically, each format has its own set of option requirements. Now let's have a look at File, Export, and Export Movie. This option will export animation instead of a still image. Here we can export the SWF or .swf, but we can also export a few other types. Windows AVI or AVI Movie, or QuickTime, Animated GIF, WAV Audio, or a sequence of still images. If we choose an image sequence, then we get the same export settings as we do when we export still images. If we export a video file, such as an AVI, we're also given many of the same options. But here we have the opportunity to compress the video. With that selected, hit OK, and here's where we choose our video compression options. Now I'm going to end this lesson by mentioning something that we need to keep in mind when we export video. Flash will only export the contents of the main timeline. If you have movie clips and animation on nested timelines, the only thing that will come out in the exported video is the contents of the first frame of that timeline. To properly export nested animation, you'll need to use a third-party solution. And thankfully, there are a few free ones around. Just one of these is SWF2AVI. Do a Google search for it, and undoubtedly you'll find it. And that's it for this lesson. Let's move on to the next one.